Hello, good day. How are you today? You good, right? Okay. Are you ready for today's lesson? You are? That is good. So today in agricultural science, we are going to be learning about classification of crops and their uses. Our topic for today in agricultural science is on classification of crops and their uses. Are we prepared for the lesson? We are, right? That is good. Classification of crops means organizing different kinds of plants that we grow for various purposes into groups based on their similarities. Okay? Classifying crops is like putting them into groups based on how they are alike. It's a way to organize plants we grow into categories so we can understand them better. Okay? It's just like you sorting your toys into piles, like putting all your stuffed animals together and all your action figures together. We can group crops into two main categories, monocots and dicots, based on the number of seed leaves they have when they sprout. Monocots and dicots is based on the number of seed leaves they have when they sprout, okay? So first, we are going to be looking at monocot crops. Monocots have one seed leaf when they sprout. Leaves often have parallel veins. Floral parts usually come in multiples of three. Root systems are fibrous. Monocot crops are a type of plants that starts growing from a single seed leaf. This means when you plant their seeds, you will see just one tiny leaf pop up first. Examples of monocot crops: rice. We eat rice and it's a monocot crop. It starts growing from one little leaf. Another example of monocot crops: wheat. Wheat is used to make bread and is also a monocot crop. It starts with one seed leaf. Corn. The corn we enjoy at the dinner table is another monocot crop. It begins with a single leaf. Sugarcane. Sugarcane is used to make sugar and is a monocot plant. It starts with one tiny leaf too. Okay? So these are examples of monocot crops. Do we understand that? So monocot crops are plants that have one seed leaf and we use them for various things like food and sugar. We understood monocot crops, right? Good. Next, we are going to be looking at dicot crops. Dicots have two seed leaves when they sprout. Leaves often have a branching network of veins. Floral parts usually come in multiples of 5 or 4. Root systems are often taproot. So dicot crops are a type of plants that start growing from two seed leaves. This means when you plant their seeds, you will see two tiny leaves pop up first. Examples of dicot crops: beans. We eat beans, and they are dicot crops. They start growing with two seed leaves. Another example: peas. Peas, like the ones you might find in your vegetable soup, are also dicots. They have two tiny leaves when they first sprout. Sunflowers. Sunflowers are grown for their seeds and oil, and they are dicot plants. They start with two little leaves. Next, soybeans. Soybeans are used to make things like soy milk. They are also dicot crops, starting with two seed leaves. So these are examples of dicot crops. Do we understand that? So dicot crops are plants that have two seed leaves, and we can use them for food, seeds, and even oil. So we have grouped crops into two main categories: monocot and dicot, and this is based on the number of seed leaves they have when they sprout. Okay, so next we are going to be looking at uses of crops. Uses of crops. What are crops used for? Food. Many crops are grown for human and animal consumption. For example, rice and wheat are staple foods for people, while corn and soybeans are used for livestock feed. So many crops are grown to provide food for us, like rice, wheat, corn, vegetables. Crops are used for fiber. Some crops like cotton are grown for their fibers, which are used to make textiles and clothing. So some crops like cotton give us fibers that we use to make clothes and other textiles. Crops are used for oil. Crops like sunflowers and soybeans are sources of vegetable oils used in cooking and various products. So crops like sunflowers and soybeans are grown to produce oils used in cooking and making products. Crops are also used for medicine. Some plants are cultivated for their medicinal properties, like the aloe vera plant. So some plants are grown for their medicinal properties, like aloe vera is used to make healing ointments. Crops are also used for building materials. Bamboo is a crop that can be used for construction and various household items. Bamboo is a crop that can be used to make things like furniture and even houses. So these are the uses of crops: food, fiber, oil, medicine, building materials. Okay, so crops are really important because they provide us with food, clothing, materials for our homes, and even things that keep us healthy. Okay, so today's lesson on classification of crops and their uses, we talked about the meaning of crops, right? And we said crops are the plants we grow. And we also talked about how to sort them in two groups, the monocot crops and dicot crops. We said the monocots are plants that start growing from one tiny leaves, and the dicots are plants that start growing from two tiny leaves, right? And we have also talked about their uses for food, fiber, oil, medicine, building materials. So we understood today's lesson on classification of crops and their uses, right? So now we are going to be looking at our assignments. I'm sure we're going to be able to do it, right? That's good.